first offseason move, debatably the biggest move of the offseason, Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. Mm. Last season, the Jets had a record of either 6-11 or 7-10. I don't remember, but either way, the only thing that was keeping them from making the playoffs was a quarterback. And now with this offseason, now that they traded for Aaron Rodgers, this shit pushed them over the edge. With Offensive Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson, great defense, and many help, and a bunch of help on offense. Aaron Rodgers, the only thing that this team needed to go into the playoffs. He's stuttering. Right? Next one we have Lions signing Cameron Sutton. If there's one thing Detroit needed this offseason, it was the secondary. They didn't need, unlike other teams, instead of signing a big name player and paying them a big bag, they did the smart thing. And paid a placeholder who can do the job. Cameron Sutton will really help the Lions this season on the trip to the playoffs. Next move, another big one, DJ Moore to the Bears. Chicago desperately needed a wide receiver one off of last season since you saw Justin Fields was carrying his whole team. Had no wide receivers at all.
That's cap. He still had Darnell Mooney, who will be a great receiver too. Because Darnell Mooney, he's not the most exciting player, but he also gets the job done, playing the right way of football.
Yeah, I could understand that. All right, but also now that they have DJ Moore, this will help them. This is a true wide receiver one for Justin Fields. Oh, no, I don't think this move is going to help the Bears make it to the playoffs, but it'll be a small improvement for them to go off of for this season and next season.
So, Ismaila, I want to say, with the Lions thing, I agree, but I also disagree. I feel like they mostly needed a linebacker. Jeff Okudah would have got that job done, just not being as efficient.
Yeah.
The only reason he is called a bust is because he was taken so early in the draft.
Yeah. Got shipped to the Falcons. He's still a good player. I just don't know. I guess they had to dump off some salary cap.
Plus they still have Tracy Walker, who's a great safety.
He is. All right. To the next move, this is a huge one. Dolphins acquiring Jalen Ramsey. From what I remember, the Dolphins got Jalen Ramsey for some ranch Hunter Long in like a 6th round pick. So that was an amazing trade for the Dolphins, in my opinion. Ramsey isn't really a shutdown. Ramsey isn't the same as he used to be years before, but he's still a top cornerback inside the league today. He could have signed a bunch of teams and made a big impact, but the Dolphins was the team he went to. This move will greatly help the Dolphins, and hopefully have them beside the playoffs, beside the really big competing division this year. Oh, and there's another big move. Lions signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You have any?
With the Dolphins move, I feel like the Dolphins, it makes them better. It makes them better, but it doesn't make them Super Bowl contenders. Just off the fact that Tua is very injury prone. Hopefully he's not injury prone this season. I need him for fantasy.
Yeah. All right. To the next signing, Lions signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. As you already know, the Lions been loading up their secondary this offseason, and they got a great wide receiver. They got a steal with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Only signed him for 1 year, $8 million. That's a steal in my opinion. C.J. Gardner-Johnson will be a big part into the Lions' playoff run this season.
Another one I really want to talk about is Arizona dropping DeAndre Hopkins. How did you feel about that one?
My opinion, I think DeAndre Hopkins they could have traded DeAndre Hopkins to get at least a little bit of trade value. I don't think cutting him was the right move. Like you were gonna get rid of him either way, but you could have at least traded him for like a fifth round pick or something.
Right.
Like you could have
I kind of agree with that because first off, DeAndre Hopkins was still their best player, no matter how bad he was these last couple of seasons, because he wasn't really bad. He just didn't play a lot. Also, DeAndre Hopkins is still a top 15 receiver. He didn't fall off that badly, and they gave him up for nothing.
Yep, I agree. They should have at least got like maybe
A fifth, sixth round pick
exactly.
is something to withstand his contract, like a 15 million contract, and
Yeah.
do like a salary dump.
Another move that you might want to talk about. You know, at the beginning of the offseason where there was talks about James Bradbury leaving the Eagles.
Mhm.
Eagles re-signed James Bradbury. How do you feel about that?
Me personally, they needed to because it wasn't the Darius Slay show. It was the Darius Slay and Bradley.
Yeah.
But Darius Slay was a big part of that.
Yeah. In my opinion, James Bradbury was a key piece into the Eagles Super Bowl run last season. Their defense is what took them out all the way. And we're getting Bradbury back. Hopefully they'll be able to go back to the Super Bowl and run it back. So
now this might not be talked about a lot, but Seahawks is my favorite team, and I was wondering how did you feel about Seahawks last season and going into this season?
Last season, in my opinion, they depended on Geno Smith to play. But this season they made some great moves, but it all depends on how Geno Smith goes. Geno Smith needs to step up for another year if the Seahawks want to make a good run. And I believe Geno will step up and be that quarterback so the Seahawks can make a good run into the playoffs.
I feel like, first off, last year Geno Smith was a fluke. Not saying he won't be good this year, but he won't be as good as he was last year. But I feel like their defense is good enough to withstand that, especially bringing in draft capital to take away from just one player, Wood being in there. They have multiple players now.
Oh, there's something else I wanted to talk about too. You heard about Tyreek Hill?
Yeah. So
yeah. The main question I heard that the dude who got slapped by Tyreek, I don't think he's pressing charges. But what do you think the NFL's punishment for this will be? How do you feel about that?
I feel 4 to 6 game suspension.
Yeah. Also, something that happened later inside the offseason, Jameson Williams suspension.
They were dumb, especially doing it on NFL property.
Yeah.
Is knowing that they would check that.
All right.
And some of the other Lions players were gambling on the NFL.
Yeah.
Which were dumb because now they lost contracts and they can't play for the season.
Last thing I really wanted to talk about, a really big thing. What do you think the Super Bowl matchup for Super Bowl 58 will be?
Bengals and Eagles. Eagles winning 31-24.
Yeah, surprisingly, I thought the same thing. Bengals versus Eagles. I think Eagles going to win next year, too.
I just feel like the Eagles... I feel like the thing with Kansas City is... First off, they lost receivers. Not saying those receivers were very impactful. It's just... they were taking the attention away. And the young guys are stepping up, but I don't think they're ready for the moment yet. Like Isaiah Pacheco, he was ready for the moment last year, but now that he has a bigger and better grow, he might not. He might freeze up, get nervous.
I could see another classic Chiefs versus Bengals rematch inside the AFC Championship. But right now, if that was to happen, I feel like the Bengals would win.
Especially because they have a young core and all they do is get better.
Yeah.
Because for all we might know, Travis Kelce is getting older. He might decline. Not saying that will happen, but it might happen.
Oh, and another thing I wanted to talk about, forgot to talk about, it's like the off-season move. How do you feel like about Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders?
I feel like it's a bad move for the Raiders.
Yeah, in my opinion, they could have.
They could have.
A-Rod.
No.
Devon,
No. Well, if the only way A-Rod was going to Las Vegas if Devontae Adams did some recruiting, but Sauce Gardner wanted him more.
Yeah, Sauce was recruiting crazy. But about Jimmy Garoppolo.
Wait, how do you think Zach Wilson felt about that? Like,
you know that quote when he got asked in the interview, it's like, we're gonna keep you, but we're gonna get veteran X. He said he gonna make that dude's life hell. Remember that?
I don't.
You could search it up. Okay, you could maybe do it. Like it's like an interview. Zach Wilson have just signed a veteran quarterback. I'm gonna make that dude's life hell. He said that. It's a quote in the interview. You wanna hear it?
No.
Alright.
Alright though. Peace out. Thank you for being on my podcast.
Yep, no problem.